let's get started. Let's rock and roll. This is Two Homers and Realist. We got the full crew together. I'm Steve.
Lucas.
Connor.
Jay.
So we are here on Wednesday before the big spring game. This is the last week of spring practice.
Back to Palace.
Racking it all up in the Palace for the big finale. I'm excited. Who's excited?
I'm pumped.
I hope it's going to be a good...
There's going to be a lot of people in town.
Hope it's going to be really cool. I think the Baker thing's going to be really cool. Yeah. We're definitely going to do a post-spring game pod. Hopefully have some guests on there from across podcast, and at the very least that we'll give our take on everything. I've always personally said that the spring game is a big disappointment. It always is because it's anticlimactic. Anything that you do good, you're doing it against somebody else who's on your team that's not doing well, right. And they always hold stuff back. But I think it'll be refreshing to see things, to see the atmosphere, to see the attitude, maybe see the physicality, and definitely to see Baker and all of that, the pageantry there. That's going to be pretty exciting.
I hope he plants a flag at midfield.
Oh, that would be so cool. I hope that it's a sign of how enthusiastic the crowd is going to be, the fans are going to be coming into next season for Brent and everything. All the changes. I think that's about the most you can ask for it, what you're trying to get. The rest of it, so Lucas, you're real excited about Dylan Gabriel. You think you're gonna see a lot of zipping hard passes and all that?
Definitely not.
Just, firm spirals.
Nope. Some wounded ducks.
We'll see.
Not to mention a 35-mile-an-hour wind they're predicting.
So you reserve the right to be surprised on the upside.
Yeah.
And if it is difficult conditions, you'll grant him a little bit of grace. Okay.
Who's the last left-hander that threw wounded ducks? Anybody remember?
How good did we do with that guy? I can't remember. Seems like we won what is that called when you win it all? Is that a national title?
I think it is a national title.
I think it is a national title. Yeah.
I talked to a guy who was actually at an OU practice a couple weeks ago, and said Gabriel, from a precision standpoint, from a footwork standpoint, looked solid. So kind of like what we've been saying. If he's putting the ball where we need it to go, where he needs it to go, and he's getting it in the hands of the right people, I think we'll be in better shape.
I'm just concerned a little bit with arm strength.
Yep.
I don't know, zipping like the out route, like a 15-yard out route. I don't know if he's got the muscle, and then the arching 50-foot bomb down the field. I don't know what his arm entails. Haven't watched enough UCF clips of. But just watching practice videos, it looks, if he knows the right place to go with the ball and makes good decisions, he's like 35-4 or something, like touchdown to interception ratio or something crazy. That's awesome against lesser competition. He also didn't have the talent, more than likely.
That we're going to see. Yeah.
Well, on our side, on our field, our side of the ball too.
He didn't have
he didn't have the talent on the offense, but he was also playing against easier defenses, so it could equal out.
Is there anything he can do Saturday that would change your mind?
Yeah, if he throws nice balls, they're 15-yard out routes that look. You can tell when a guy's got a good arm.
Yeah.
Like
on a 15-yard pass, you can tell.
It's a little hard to tell if he has the full command of the offense, though, when the defense is going to know as much as the defense is going to know. And that's always been a criticism I've had of spring games, is the defense comes along faster typically. Defense usually knows what's going on. So if your defense does really well, it's hard to tell if anything's real great. If the offense does really well, given that we are pretty sure we've got good defensive coaching, that's a really good sign. So it's kind of like if they're not that great, it's hard to tell. If they're really good, that's a pretty strong sign.
You got to choose which one you want to see the better of, and I agree. I think you want to see the better of the offense in this time around. I think there's a lot more question marks on that side of the ball going into this than there is on the defensive side, especially with the coaching staff and the guys you bring back.
Now,
on
it does help that
he
is going to know the offense really well.
Yep.
He's already been in this system. They know each other. It may not translate in a spring game, but I do take a lot of comfort in knowing that he knows the offense, the coordinator knows him, so hopefully there's a little bit of rhythm that they can get into earlier than you normally would between a new coordinator and a new quarterback.
So how do they do it? Do they usually do the one offense versus the two defense?
That's what I was going to say. It depends on the
setup. I
setup.
don't know who they do.
Because if you
they started to do ones against ones under Riley.
Because if you have ones versus twos, then you want to see obviously
both
sides
doing
succeed
exceptionally well. Right.
But if you have 1v1, it's kind of that give or take. You know,
choose the lesser.
Yeah.
right.
Well,
one way he can combat what Lucas is afraid of is knowing where he's going with the ball.
I'm not afraid of anything.
And
by
he
the way.
releases it. He releases it a split second early.
mm-hmm.
When you don't have the arm strength to throw it late, if you throw it early, it doesn't have to be on a straight line.
Mm-hmm.
If you know where you're going with
That's
it.
a good point. He didn't wake up with this arm strength. He's an experienced quarterback. I expect to see him know what to do with what he's got to work with. So
We've all watched enough football, though, that even just in warm-ups when they're throwing just 15-yard balls to the wide receivers, they're just standing still.
Yeah,
like in a pregame warm-up.
you can see the
arm
rip
strength,
on the
right?
ball.
So
Joe Burrow
we'll be able
in
to
that game that we went to.
we'll
that
be able to
Beach
tell
Bowl,
at that point
I'll never forget
what his
telling
arm strength's
myself.
like just
Yeah.
throwing those passes.
Yeah, it is. It'll be indicative.
I think that comes into play in elite competition, right? Because you're not if they're getting covered the way they should be covered, you can't throw it as early as you think you can. So if you have to be a split second late on an out route, but you're playing Bama or you're playing Ohio State, that's when it comes into play.
We don't have to worry about playing either one of those teams this year.
Most of the games that we
You
play,
don't think they'll be in the playoff against us?
Nope.
You're predicting
most
2
of the
losses
season.
for both of those teams?
Wow.
most of the
Bold
season
take.
that won't be. I don't think his arm strength, even if it's not good, will be a problem for the majority of the season.
Could be
until
disguised.
until you play elite talent.
Yeah, which may be in Baylor in terms of defense. I don't think OSU's defense will be very good. Texas defense might be good enough that it could challenge. Maybe the Black Shirts of Nebraska
They were
are
trash
back.
last year.
We'll see. But it'll be interesting to see. Well, let's change gears. We promised something, and I want to see if you guys are interested in talking about this, and that is rule changes we would like to see. What things would we, if we were czar of football, and we could change rules, and I'll let you broadly interpret this however you like. I'm thinking rules on the field. But what rule changes would you like to see? And even as broad as like maybe the number of coaches you can have or anything you want to think of. What changes to the rules of the game would you like to see? I can start us off. I'd like to see, let's start with maybe what I think is not very controversial. I can't believe it hasn't been changed. Pass interference enforced at the point of contact, the NFL rule. So why it's just 15 yards, it just boggles my mind. I don't understand why. If
you tackle a guy on a 50-yard pass.
50 yards downfield,
it's a bailout penalty.
Yeah.
It is totally a bailout penalty, and it's a smart defensive back knows tackle the guy.
If I'm beat, yeah.
Who did we
I'm
play
gonna
that year? Was it TCU? There was a year we played TCU, maybe 2 years ago.
I think last year this guy
They
happened on
grabbed
us.
every receiver we had if they got beat, and
Yeah.
it was
happened
brilliant.
It happened to Marquise Brown a lot.
Which is what you do against
Yeah,
a Marquise
and
Brown.
you should.
Yeah.
You absolutely should.
So that
was on my list as well.
Any disagreements with that? I mean, isn't that kind of obvious? Why isn't that happen?
I don't know, and maybe it's in between. The rule that's always so like let's just say it's a 35-yard past the end zone and you get a pass interference in the end zone. I don't know if I necessarily have ever agreed that it should be on the 2-yard line, but it should be more than 15 yards. So maybe a 10-yard line or a first and goal at the 10 type of situation.
So you're saying like in the game, well, not in the game last year against Oklahoma State where we were tackled in the end zone, but you're saying that if
you're outside the 10-yard line, you throw it past the end zone and it's pass interference, you should get the ball automatically first and goal within the 10 at the 10-yard line essentially.
Not on the 2.
I don't like at the 2. I don't know. It's because I feel like it starts working against the other part of it, where it's
interesting. They go the other way.
Start throwing it, and I'm gonna get bailed out because I know
right.
if I just throw a
they
jump
go
ball,
from a bailout that's in favor of the defense to a bailout a little bit in favor of the offense.
I would like to see some balance there, but
I didn't think about that.
Holistically, I like. I definitely agree. That was on my list as pass interference.
I think the reasoning is in the NFL you've got highly paid referees that know what they're doing. Even though there's obviously calls every year that are bad. But as opposed to college football where those refs have regular jobs.
And they're guessing.
Which is its own problem. Maybe I want to change that.
That is a problem. But I also think that they're less likely to call on a 50-yard bomb a pass interference that would give you a 50-yard penalty as opposed to if they're tackling a guy 40 yards down the field.
You think that's the
go
rationale?
ahead and give a 15-yard penalty. I think that's the lack of good officiating. I think is the reason
That seems
that
like
rule
such
is
an
in
awful
place.
cop-out.
I agree.
I wouldn't. That could be the rationale,
I think that's
and
why.
I think that's awful.
I agree completely.
They should not have a rule that says, well, we're going to adjust for the fact that we suck at our job.
No.
They're like,
And-
if it's close to pass interference, we can go ahead and call it because on this 50-yard bomb, it's only going to be a 15 yards. So
And yet,
we'll go ahead and give it to the
inconsistently,
offense.
do they even do that? So, kind of
Well,
invalidates that right there
A Baylor and
for the
OSU
fact that
multiple
it's so very
non-calls last
and
year.
it's difficult. Pass interference is a judgment call. It's one of the most difficult calls in sports, really. And maybe we just need better guidance about it. And maybe, actually, I would be okay with adopt the NFL's rule, but allow a lot of contact.
Yeah.
Or change the contact rules a little bit. I don't know.
Is instant replay out of the question for pass interference?
I don't think so. I think it's definitely within.
I think that was a massive fail on the NFL's part how they tried to implement.
Yeah,
that.
I think the games will be even longer than they already are.
Sure they
Oh no!
How many pass
I'm
interference calls are there?
No, I'm in favor of it. I think the NFL just did not implement it well.
Right.
I think you could have. I mean, man, you look at even some of the Bush League stuff like the XFL did, where it was a quick call to the booth. It was an immediate yes or no.
Yeah, and
if
move on.
all you need is one or two viewpoints to say yes or no. Like stop with the BS.
Yeah, he got there
All
early.
these
It's a penalty.
technicalities.
Yeah.
Yes, no. Yes,
It's
it is.
actually a
move
pretty
on.
easy one
It
to
is
see
pretty
once you
easy to
look
call.
Yeah.
after the fact. And so I don't think it extends the game necessarily. And yeah, maybe if you want to
Reviews are
limit it
too
to
long in the first
challenges or
place.
whatever you want to do, just don't make it where you're acting like it's a judge determining life or death for an inmate here.
No, a
It's-
challenge isn't bad because it keeps you from doing it over and over and over.
You decide,
But if it's
this is
really, really
egregious enough,
important,
I'm
like
gonna
you
do
need
it.
to look at this.
yeah, and it's clear. You're looking at the replay, you go, hold on a second. Yeah, I'm going to challenge that.
Yeah, we would have challenged the OSU call at the
And
end
we
of the
would have
game,
won
and we would have
that one.
won, and have been first and goal from the 2
Yep.
with 26
With
And
seconds.
we
a lot of
still have
chances.
Lincoln Riley as our coach.
and we would have
I
won.
don't think so. I don't know. I'd love to play that out. I don't
Not
think
according
so.
to his Players Tribune article, we wouldn't.
I was thinking before that article, I was thinking the other night, I think I had a dream about this, which was messed up. But I think that he would have coached into the Big 12 championship, and even if we won it, I think he takes the job. I think they would have waited to offer him the job, and he would have taken it between that and
And the
maybe
playoffs.
he may have taken the job to say, I'll coach you through the playoffs. I don't know. It gets really ugly there and messy.
But National Signing Day is in between the Big 12 championship.
Yeah, that's
I
why
know.
he left.
Yeah.
When he did.
And it didn't change. Yet, think about it. With transfer rules, would he have cared? He would have thought, well, I'll just go ahead and sign these guys and transfer all their butts right back in.
No.
So, I don't know. So that's an idea. I got another one. The NFL's rule of down by contact. I think that
Oh, that one should be changed 25 years ago.
I think it should be
If you
just
fall
like the
down,
NFL.
if you fall down and there's nobody around you, you should be able to get back up and run.
go.
It's stupid.
Yeah, I
It
wonder
is
what the
stupid.
rationale was in the first place of that.
Some probably BS safety issue, but that it
Maybe.
just doesn't. This
Maybe it was just like back to the rugby days or something. That it's some kind of like archaic
Tradition type of
traditional rule that no one. But why are we not questioning that? It seems so silly.
Has it
Well,
maybe
some of the stuff they have questioned in lieu of that is just like what I don't know. It's bigger.
Why
fish to
that's
fry type.
sacred
Yeah, it's- I don't
and the other
understand
things
either.
can be changed.
Could you imagine losing a national championship where a guy is
Oh,
walking into the end
God.
zone but just
And
loses his
stumbles?
footing?
Yeah,
maybe it's because
Everyone knows that you
that
would have
might
won
get
that
the
game.
rule changed.
Like-
Something like that might get the rule changed.
maybe because it's pre-instant replay, they didn't think the college officials were good enough to be able to tell if a guy literally got like a hand on a shoulder
But either way, it's a
and then they fell
Oh.
down, 2
Oh,
yards further.
if it was contact.
Right.
Yeah, that's.
But in
probably
these
it.
days,
that's probably it.
every game is televised.
It's clear you hit the ground. It's not clear if it was by contact.
Right.
Now we know.
Now,
we have
now
the
you can
ability to
review it
test
for
that.
sure.
So
If the guy falls down,
Change it, guys.
gets back up and runs, and then gets tackled, you could always go back and review and see if some slight contact caused him to fall down
I like
because
that.
you have TV cameras now.
I like that. I got two more,
That
but
seems like the simplest thing in the world.
it does.
To
That's
switch
what
now.
that's what frustrates me is you've got it.
Competition committee should fix
Another
that.
league who's doing this. The
Yeah.
better league is doing this. Why? I don't understand.
I mean, how many
it.
times as a quarterback, there's been like a bad snap or something, and the quarterback has gone down on a knee to pick a ball up,
Right.
and there's nobody within 3 yards of him,
Right.
and he's got a
And you're
7-yard
gonna
loss.
end the football game,
Yeah.
in football play because of that.
He lost 7 yards because he touched his knee when he was picking the ball up, even though there's nobody around him. He could have stood back up and thrown the ball.
Yeah.
But no, he loses 7 yards because
It doesn't make any
of that
sense to me
stupid rule.
at all. I've got 2 more, but let me see if you guys got anything else to jump in on.
Only one I can think of that's a major pet peeve is when the offense fumbles the ball out of the end zone
Okay.
and the possession goes to the other team.
Yep.
There's no rationale
No, I get it.
for the other team getting the ball.
So I
Right.
have down offensive fumble out of the opponent's end zone is offense's ball at the 1 yard line.
I can't even
I don't-
fathom
that's
how
how I
it's
think
the
it should
other
be.
team's ball.
Why would you give the other team the ball? Because
For
it's-
99 yards on the field, it's not the other team's ball.
But now all of a sudden it's the other team's ball.
Yeah.
It seems to me like some goofy rule that they're not willing to question that goes back to some archaic time. And it's like, wait a second, guys, maybe we shouldn't have the goalpost at the front of the end zone. Maybe we should put them at the back. They were logical to move that 70 years ago. Why can't they figure this part out?
I don't know if you can give the guy the ball at the 1.
At
because
worst,
he
though,
might have fumbled from the 5 and it rolled forward out
Well-
of bounds. So how about
Well,
from the
at the
point that he
of the
loses
point
the
of
ball?
the point of the ball.
Right.
But I'm thinking specifically to the OU game last year against Iowa State, right? When that happened, and why the ball wouldn't be the offense's ball, right? Because it happened to be right at the goal line.
Yeah.
it was Deshaun White, right?
Uh-huh.
He got the ball, had like a 60-yard return, kind of dove for the pylon,
Mm-hmm.
and lost the ball mid-dive.
Right.
The entire possession has changed.
Right.
The offense threw an interception or a fumble, I can't recall.
Mm-hmm.
The defense clearly gained possession,
Right.
and then no one
And had he
one
fumbled it
else
clearly at the
regained
2 yard
possession.
line, clearly out of bounds at the 2 yard line, it's clearly OU's ball.
Right.
Why does it flip back to the other team? Makes no sense to me. Makes no sense to me at all.
None whatsoever.
It's just like a weird nuance to like, haha, you're not a football nerd. Let me show you actually in the rule book.
I mean, at worst, put him on the 10.
Put him on the 10 or the 20.
Just at the worst case scenario.
If you want, if for some weird reason you want to penalize that,
Yeah.
which I think, at least by the way the rules are, you're intending for them to dive for pylons, which encourages it. Why do you and why do you want to introduce what ends up being a really weird amount of judgment call? Because if the ball goes out of the end zone and you give them at the 1 versus you give the other team the ball, the judgment call matters a lot.
Yep.
If the team's going to retain control of the ball, it doesn't really matter. Give them the ball at the 1, give them the ball a little bit beyond the 1, behind the 1, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's not a dramatic change in the
Like you're saying,
composition of the
if
game.
you're on the 4 yard line and you fumble it out of bounds to the sideline, then they give you the ball back on the 4 yard line,
Yeah.
and it's
Yep.
still your ball.
Exactly.
Still your
So
ball.
there should be no difference between
It's the same thing at the 1
out of
yard
the
line.
end zone
You do it at
Yeah.
the 1 yard
and the
line.
4 yard line.
Yeah.
Right. It's
Yeah.
the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
My
Right.
pet peeve, mine is what I got into it on Twitter about.
Yeah.
Was I dislike, and I know why the rule exists. It's so that the offense doesn't have a huge advantage on substitutions. But to me,
So now we're gonna have an argument.
the rule was in place for decades
Read the rules.
that you substitute on offense, and then you don't have to hold the ball to let the defense substitute.
Right.
You had the players on the field to be able to, if you went from 2 tight ends and a running back to 5 wide substituting out, you just kept the same players in the field and you defended it.
So
Whereas now,
Or you just ran out players as fast as you could.
right,
and ran
then
the
they
risk.
would-
It ran the risk of being.
then they'll
didn't
snap
have
the
to
ball
let
and,
the defense
and get
get
12
the
men on the
illegal
field.
substitution of 12 men on the field.
So nothing changed in the rules to allow the offense here. It's just really in the era of hurry-up offenses and signaling that it created this potential that the offense could sub someone in, right? It's not like the rules changed.
The rules changed where the referees hold the ball.
No. Aside from that,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
it's not like they said, "Oh, wait a second, we better hold the ball for the defense because we changed this rule that allows the offense to sub." The offense has always had this
Right.
ability to do what they're doing today. Just all of a sudden, offenses substitute differently than they used to.
Yeah.
And so now they're saying, "Well, wait a second, defenses need a chance to substitute too." I'm sympathetic to that. I think they do a better job of when they hold the ball. It just does get a little frustrating that it could be strategic. But of course, it can only be strategic if the offense is so foolish as to substitute with 5 seconds on the
There
clock.
was many times last year that Lincoln Riley and his horrible clock management, which you talked about ad nauseum on
But
this
not
podcast,
enough.
but there were many times that the other team would sub at the 20-second mark
Right.
of the shot of
And
the
our
play clock,
idiots wouldn't, yeah.
and we wouldn't try to. They would be holding the ball. 20 seconds runs down to say 10, and they're holding the ball.
And we wouldn't sub.
And we wouldn't sub when literally, if you would have just ran one guy off the
Which
field
is so
and brought
ironic
one guy in, it would have
because
been
we
a delay
subbed
game
all the time.
Yeah,
It's not like they no, we
Yeah.
got our guys that we always like to play. No, you sub everybody.
there was times that it was 4th and 1, and the team on the field that we're playing against would have 3 wideouts.
Uh-huh.
And with 20 seconds left, they say, we're going to go for it. We're going to bring in our jumbo package.
yep.
They'd run 2 receivers off and run 2 tight ends in.
And that's when we
then
really
the clock
wanted
is
the
at
same
10.
guys on the field.
They're at 10 seconds, and they're holding the ball for us. And we're just over there twiddling our thumbs.
And the ref is going, you
Instead
can
of-
strategically
yeah,
do this.
Yeah, instead of pulling a nickel back off and
Right.
bringing another
Anybody.
lineman in.
Anybody.
For a goal.
Or
you know,
anybody. Bring
yeah,
a punter in.
for a goal.
It doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
anyone.
If you're a smart punter, you run in and
Yeah.
you tell the DB, get off, get the cornerback, you pull him, you throw him to the sideline as you run in
The
as if
far
you're gonna,
side, the far side corner,
it
not the
makes
near
no
side
sense.
corner, the far
No,
side
you
corner.
got to pull your guy off the field so it's not 12 men, and then you're just going to lollygag your way to the
Yeah.
line and be an extra guy. The punter's
And the
going
play
to
clock
charge.
would have
And the play clock
run out, and it would have been
runs
delay
out.
a game on a
Yeah.
4th and 1,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
makes them
Yeah,
in
yeah,
turn
yeah,
punt
obviously.
or kick a field goal.
So
Yeah, that did happen multiple times last year, though.
I can think of at least 3 times it happened.
do I agree that it should be back to the old rules?
I
What do you
think the
guys
refs. I think there needs to be a set time that the ref is allowed to sit on the ball.
Okay, how about
So it
this?
should be a 5 or 7 second count to say once the offensive player, the first offensive sub steps on the sideline, which given there's some nuance that has to go into that, but
Right.
you have 7 seconds that I'm going to sit on this ball for you to sub someone in, and once that 7 seconds is gone, good, figure it out.
Yeah.
What if the play clock stops while the referee is over the ball?
I would like that idea. If they sub, that
That's
the
pure
offense
equal
gets
opportunity.
a chance to sub, then
Yeah.
it's equal opportunity, and you're not going to have some gamesmanship
I like that too.
where you can run the clock out. I was thinking
On either side.
either that or there's a substitution period. That's going to get into the whole thing they're trying to do, and that's make the games go faster, 40-second clock and all that. So you can't exactly do that, but it's like, well, if we're going to do this, why don't we just say, look, if you're going to sub, then we stop the clock 7 seconds, and you get to sub. Everyone who gets to sub subs, and then we're starting it again. You can sub again if you think you can get somebody in on and off. I don't know, or maybe you can't sub. Maybe that's the substitution.
I think I like
time.
that. I think I like that better. I think I do like a substitution period where it's like, hey, between 40 and 25 seconds.
That's when you can sub.
That's
and
when you can
and
sub.
no other time
and then
can you
if
sub.
you sub a player off after that, it's a 5-yard penalty.
Yeah.
Delay a game or
You-
illegal
you-
procedure.
You
or
can call a
something.
timeout. Yeah.
Right.
You have a timeout to call. It's your learn how to do it. Or if you have an injury, now you could fake an injury, but that allows people to do a lot of stuff, and there's only going to be so much of that you're going to do.
Yep.
I don't know how you handle the fake injury stuff.
I don't know if you
I thought a little bit about that.
No,
other
we're
than
going to run into that a lot
norms
because it sounds like Levy likes to go very, very fast. So we're going to have some teams that are just going to kind of have
Fake
a
a
player
cramp.
fall on the ground.
Who was it that when that started, like, was it Tech? We were playing, and it was like 6 or 7 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And, like, every play they were
Was it
having...
A&M?
They were having a lineman, like,
Yeah, it wouldn't have been
go
A&M
down on the
6 or 7 years
field,
ago.
and
It
then
was
he'd get him
Tech.
off the field.
Yeah,
And that was when they started the rule of
that you have to sit out.
you have to sit out the next
and
play.
that corrected a lot of it.
It did.
So I think that's a pretty
That
good
was a good
correction.
rule that
just,
fixed
just to,
that
like
problem.
that fixes it a lot. So I'm not too worried about that.
Or the helmet. They would throw the helmet off and act like
Right.
they lost their helmet during play. And nope, you got to go to the sideline.
Yeah, I like that. You have to
gotta
go to
sit
the
out.
sideline, and that's pretty good. It's still, if you're a really weak team, if you're Kansas,
You
it
can beat
probably-
Texas then.
Or Texas.
well, yeah, if you're a really weak team like Texas,
if you're Kansas,
then
you can beat Texas.
You can.
on a regular basis.
Well, what I'm getting at is, it doesn't really matter who you have in. Probably you've got to like every 11-man group, offense or defense, that's out there for Kansas has like 2 or 3 people that are about worthless, and so I have to sit out. Oh, whoop-de-doo, because I'm not actually any good at this game.
Are you talking about the team that almost beat us in Lawrence last year?
Exactly.
Because I was there. You were there.
I was there.
He was there. Connor was there.
Connor was there.
We were all there. We
The
almost
whole
lost
fam-
that game.
The whole
Yeah.
family was there.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder, how in the hell did we almost lose that? No, I think everyone would have that ability, but I like that as a correction. I think that does correct that.
Yeah, I don't mind the
gamesmanship.
40 to 25 second substitution time frame.
All right, let me give you a controversial one. No intentional grounding penalty. You can intentionally ground all you want.
Even
Period.
doesn't make it to the line of scrimmage.
Doesn't make it to the line
You
of
just
scrimmage.
throw it
not
just
outside of the.
at any time.
You can just throw the ball down and end
Sideways.
it. Yeah. Here's why I like this.
I don't love it.
I like the fact that it removes a lot of judgment call, which delays games, and we sit there and argue about was he outside of the tackle box? Was it beyond the line of scrimmage? He was beyond the line of scrimmage. Did you notice that? Did you not? Go back and look at it. And just keeps the flow of the game going.
My question with the rule in general is, so if your receiver runs a flag instead of a post,
Right.
and you throw it before his break,
Right.
and it's 40 yards away from everybody,
Right.
why is that not an intentional
Right.
grounding call?
Right. Because
Right?
technically speaking, as far as you can tell,
nobody was
nobody's
in the vicinity
area.
whatsoever.
Right.
Right.
I agree.
But because it was 40 yards down the field,
Right.
It's a miscommunication.
it's a miscommunication.
You're right.
Right.
I think to that exact point, I would just like to see. I don't mind the fact that the quarterback's going to escape a lot of pressure by basically ending the down, but it removes a lot of judgment and it just makes the game continue to move. Remove intentional grounding. No intentional.
No, I don't recall. Is
penalty
that
for
is that
intentional
a
grounding.
yardage?
and you lost it down.
And a loss
And
of
loss
down?
it down. Yeah.
What if it was just changed to a spot foul, but no loss of down?
I don't know. My bigger problem is that it's such a judgment call, and that it's such a
Well, not if you
technicality.
just throw it in the dirt. It's not a judgment call.
Well, probably not, but it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you just throw it at your lineman's feet.
right.
Oh well, you didn't lose it down. You didn't get to make a play. You,
well,
lost
You will
12
lose it down.
yards or whatever.
Oh, you're
Yeah,
saying
you lose it down.
you
obviously,
would obviously lose it down, and you're saying that you would lose. The argument is, but then should it be yardage as well? So I just don't. I think the quarterback ought to be able to escape by throwing the ball away, regardless. I don't care. I don't care if he throws it at his lineman's feet. I don't care if he throws it, zings it out of bounds, and it hits a cheerleader who's not 10 yards, not beyond the line of scrimmage. I don't care.
You know,
Just-
by letter of the law, that spiking the ball to stop the clock should be an intentional
Right.
grounding.
They
Exactly.
make
Exactly.
a they
because
make,
you're behind
well,
the line
they
of
make
the
an
ball
exception
doesn't go
for that exactly.
right.
Yeah.
There's no receiver in the area. You throw the ball down behind the line of scrimmage, even though you're not under
So
duress.
in the name of consistency, I'd like to see across the board. You can do whatever you want. You want to lose it down, go.
I mean, I think a sack is a very exciting play in the game.
Absolutely.
And it's a game-changing type of play.
For sure.
So, if a quarterback can just, I'm about to get sacked, and just throw it in the ground,
No,
I don't know that I like that.
I don't think. I think you when that thought goes through their head, I think you see that happen. I think you see grounding. I think a lot of the times when these sacks happen, I think it's pretty pure, honestly, in what it is.
So a lot of
as
times
play.
they could have thrown the ball away and not gotten an interception.
I think they.
I don't know how
take
much it actually bails them out
Right.
to remove intentional grounding. To be honest, I think it will bail them out some, but I don't really mind that much. I don't feel I get it from the standpoint the offense may have a lot of advantages and to equal out the game, maybe, but I don't like that method of it equaling out.
I'd be interested to talk to a quarterback and ask them, as you are running through, or as you're going through an escape, and you don't see anything else. It's either get hit or throw it away. What is your thought process? Is your thought process find a receiver that I can throw it near to throw it away, or is it just get the
Zip
ball
to
out
the
of my hand at that
sideline?
point?
I'm going to guess
Like,
the coach says just take the sack. Because that's,
or zip it to the sideline.
if you just throw
Someone-
it hoping, that's
Well, we've seen guys
That's
do that,
way worse.
and it ends up being an interception.
That's
even though
way
it looks
worse
like they're
than
trying to
taking a
throw to the
sack.
sidelines.
yeah.
So I don't know.
I don't have a problem with the rule as is. I don't think it takes that long for the ref to get. You know, the side judge comes over the referee and says,
But they get
says,
it
"Hey, that was
wrong.
past line scrimmage."
They
and
get it wrong.
There was,
There
a
was
receiver
one
in the
last
area.
year
They
on
got-
the east sideline. the ball definitely went past the referee that's on
The side judge.
on the
and they,
yard
and they
marker,
called,
Yeah.
and they called it.
and they called it. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But if that happens 100 times, they get it wrong 4 times. I mean,
They get it wrong none. In
I don't know.
I'm not. That's
Yeah,
my
but then
fourth
then
one.
to me it completely takes away the sack.
It would.
If a quarterback can just throw the
Oh,
ball.
it wouldn't. No, there'd still
If
be
somebody's
lots of
running
sacks.
towards him, he could literally just throw it in the ground.
There'd
It
be
wouldn't
lots
matter.
of sacks. I actually think it might make the game more exciting because of all the guys trying to do that. Now, here's a strong counter to me because I think they're going to try to do that a lot, and that's going to be stupid because they're going to end up with interceptions or they're going to get fumbles because they're putting the ball back, and all of a sudden the guy's going to strip the ball because they think he can throw it in the dirt. You would potentially, as I try to remove judgment calls, introduce more judgment calls because now
Like a tuck
you've got a
rule.
lot of tuck, you've got a lot of did he fumble or was
his
he
hand moving
was his hand
forward?
moving forward.
Yeah.
So maybe that
And
gets
those take
back
way longer than
way
determining
longer.
if it was
and
in the tackle
probably
box and
have
pass
a
line
bigger
scrimmage.
error rate
Yes.
as well.
I have one that, I mean, you guys might tear this apart. I don't know.
Probably.
I feel like an offensive holding call, it's just extremely punitive. I mean, it destroys your drive. A holding call. Now, sometimes it's
I didn't
blatant.
put it down, but I had a thought on that too.
Sometimes it's blatant, and this defensive end was about to kill your quarterback, and you grab him and you throw him down by his jersey. But other times, it's just ticky-tack calls that could be called all game.
Every play.
All game
It's
long.
a 5-yard penalty, in my opinion.
I mean, 10 yards is a pretty detrimental call.
Well, it's 10 yards from the spot, right?
10 yards from the spot of the
yeah,
hole.
I mean, that's a big-time call. You go from 1st and 10 to, 2nd and 26. I mean, that's a
It's
massive
devastating. Well,
call.
especially if it's a run that went for 15 yards. And it happened to be on the other side of the
It'll be
field.
1st and 10 to 1st and
Again, it
26,
introduces
but-
a lot of
But
judgment.
yeah, you get
Because
I mean,
they could call one almost every time,
second.
and all of a sudden they're calling one, and you're like, that guy was nowhere near the play.
Right.
The play was to the right. This guy's on the left.
Yeah, maybe there
Um,
should be intentional holding and some kind of holding that it was
More
a hold, but it didn't affect the play.
You
Well,
get
that
into
should
another
be.
realm-
That
you
is
get
the
into
rule.
Another realm of
That is the. They're
subjective-
not supposed to
subjectiveness,
call.
though.
I believe the unwritten rule, if not the written rule, is they're not supposed to call a holding that doesn't impact the play unless it's blatant.
Oh man,
But I don't know. I don't like introducing even more judgment. I might go to the extent of thinking there's no such thing as holding, or maybe either that
I
or
even
you
thought, why do you even
loosen it
why
up.
do the offensive linemen even have gloves with individual finger holes?
Yeah.
How about that?
right.
Put
How
mittens
about
on them.
have mittens? There's no hold.
Yeah, if you put their hands in certain positions, they couldn't do it. So I don't know. I think there's something that needs to be corrected there. I can't really identify what it is, but holding really frustrates
Well,
me.
the weird part is too, like you're allowed to grab
Here,
like
in the
on
middle
the
of the chest, but
so you
not
can hold
around
on.
the side.
right.
Yeah,
What's that? I mean, what,
I don't understand. So
but
I
isn't defensive holding only a 5-yard penalty as well? Or is that just the
Yes.
NFL?
I think it's 5 yards.
no.
And it's only called like
It's 10 yards, and it's an automatic first down if it's past if the ball's thrown, which is really weird. We got caught with that last year. If the ball has to be thrown past the line to gain for it to be an automatic first down.
no, he's talking about like a defensive line holding. They started calling that a couple times last year, where the defensive
Oh,
lineman grabs the
right,
offensive lineman
right.
and pulls him
Pulls him
down,
down.
so a linebacker can fill that gap and hit
Right.
him.
Defensive
I think
holding,
that's a 5-yard penalty.
defensive holding is a 5-yard penalty except when an offense is within the opponent's 10-yard line, and it's half the distance to the goal. Half the distance to the goal. So it's a 5-yard penalty on defense
Yeah,
for holding.
which things you would hold constantly. I mean,
right. Well, it's just pretty hard
as
to hold.
as soon as you're in like a zone or
Yeah.
something though, and you see a guy come across your way, I don't know.
But I feel like in the past 5 years, defensive holding has become a much more prominent
At the line.
at the
penalty.
line.
Yeah.
Well, if you watch
At the
it,
line or in the second level, but with linebackers, like actually pulling on a receiver that's running a crossing route or something like that has been a lot more prominent over the
And
last.
that's still just a 5-yard penalty?
Yeah,
But it's an automatic first down
it is.
if the ball's thrown past the line to
Yes.
and I know we're 99% college football here, but in the NFL, it seems like there is defensive holding on every pass.
They
play
call it
that
a
there
lot
is.
though. They call that
Yeah.
they call that a lot more than they call.
I mean, the DBs
Defensive pass
are just
interference.
all over wide receivers
Right.
in the NFL.
gain. So I don't know. I think maybe it's just we need better refereeing to get better because I would say that the holding calls, both sides of the ball, are pretty clean and good in the NFL. I don't have as big a problem with it as I have in college. So maybe we just need better officiating to make it more the intent and letter of the law, so that it's a cleaner game and we don't have what appears to be just a random judgment call of all of a sudden we're killing a drive with this holding penalty that everyone's like, are you kidding me? And that's on top of all the missed holding penalties. I guess that's what really bugs me, is if you've got all these, you're going to try to have this very punitive penalty, and then you're seemingly not calling it several times when
now
my team
we're
is
biased
on
towards our own team,
right.
But when we play Texas,
that's exactly what I was thinking
yes,
of. That's exactly what I was thinking
there's
of.
literally 20 non-offensive holding calls on the Texas offensive line on our defensive end.
I swear I was thinking the same thing.
I don't want to talk about that 2020, what was it, 2020 game where that guy scores in overtime after a blatant just hold on, I don't remember who it was on off the edge.
What game?
It was 2020 Texas, the COVID
4 overtime game
where
we
just
still
score,
won.
Right,
and
yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's an Ellinger run from like the 20-25
Yes.
yard line.
Oh,
yes.
on the right side.
On the right side, our
And he
dude
pulled-
gets mugged.
Yeah.
Just gets, I think it's either Deshaun White or Brian Asamoah.
Just gets tackled.
Just
Yeah.
gets completely just railed and just nothing. And it's just, that's one of the more mad.
So
times
maybe
I've ever
we just need a lot better officiating.
Should they pay the
A lot better
referees
officiating.
more, like the NFL does, to where those guys don't have to have a normal job?
God, with the NCAA,
Maybe
yes.
I
with
think-
the amount
I
of money
think
the
they
NCAA
should.
makes, the Power 5 schools should definitely have better referees.
I think
Well, with
so.
the amount of money at stake for
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
outcome of games,
There's a lot more refs that have to be
How
considered
about
in
an
college
additional
football.
ref as well, who's on the line of scrimmage watching that stuff, and maybe they consult and can actually overrule each other or something. I don't know.
Well, God, like, I mean, maybe even take a look at the current refs you have on the field.
If they can't have,
Look at some of the refs. Look at some of the roles of some of the refs on the field. That 90% of the game they're not having to do
involved.
anything.
if they can't hire enough good referees with the number of referees they have now, then
they can if they pay them more.
Adding another referee is not going to do any good.
No, I think. Well, no, I disagree. I think that adding a referee would help, even if at the current level, and that's been pretty well demonstrated. Basketball was one real clear place where when they add a ref, how much cleaner the game gets. But I think I like both. I like paying them more and hiring more refs so that we get better officiating across the board and hold them accountable. The lack of accountability, especially at the NCAA level, is very frustrating. Where they don't have to go back like the NFL does and like the NBA does,
Get a review sheet
and get a review sheet, get graded, and get called out for the mistakes they make. And obviously, in the professional realm, there's mistakes. There will be mistakes, but they're fewer. Part of what gets them so amplified, those mistakes at the highest levels, is that they're fewer and far between, and so they're more egregious just by the nature of we never see those type of mistakes, and then we do see them, we blow up. Like, you got to be kidding me. We hold them to a higher standard. We kind of just give them a pass in college. Like, it's just bad officiating. Like,
like
no,
I don't
we shouldn't
recall if there's been any NFL games where they've kind of gone back and said, "Hey, we messed this up," and it would have changed the outcome of the game.
They have,
but it has happened in college for sure.
Right. Well, they
where
did
they're like,
definitely
"Hey,
in
we
that
messed this
playoff
up."
game
And
against the Saints.
The NBA does that last 2-minute report or whatever,
Right.
where they go through afterwards.
Well, what's bad is it's all conference based in college too. So it's it's not even the refs having to come out and make the statement. It's the Big 12, it's the Big 10, it's the SEC.
It's a good old boy network or a cartel
pathetic.
who's not having responsibility. It should be some other group so that
it should be
we
a
have
third
a little
party
bit of
who
a third party
absolutely.
to it, not
conference. But
judge,
the
jury,
fact that
and
you can go
executioner.
into a neutral site game and say, well, it's a Big 12 officiating crew, so they're going to let them play a little bit on the sidelines.
Yeah, it should never be that way.
What does that even mean?
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
No, it's the opposite. If you go to a Big 12 game, they're not letting the defensive, like the corners,
Yeah, your pass
play.
interferences
but
are going to be out of
But
control.
when you watch an
Either
SEC
way,
crew,
either
they
way.
get to mug
When
each
they have
other.
when they have
Inconsistencies are the
characteristics,
point.
they have characteristics between crew to
And they
crew. It's
shouldn't.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
It
Right.
They
shouldn't.
really shouldn't.
You're all following
I
the
think
same
that's a
rules.
problem.
You're all following the same rules. So
Any other rule changes?
I would be interested. I know they've worked on it, and this will be maybe the last thing. I know we spent some time, but it would be interesting to see if they could just go and do an overhaul on overtime. It's
How would you change it? I like that. How would
I
you change
think I like the model of a 10-minute period, and I don't like the sudden death that the NFL does after each team gets possession.
Right.
I think you give a 10 minutes. Whoever
football.
scores. At the end of the 10 minutes, if one team is ahead, they win. If it's tied, then you go to some sort of sudden death, what we kind of have in play right now.
So it's the soccer outlook.
Yeah.
After the 90 minutes, you play 2 15-minute halves of going back and forth. And then if it's still tied, they do penalty
Some sort
kicks.
of shootout. Yeah, exactly.
So in college, you would do an extra 5 minutes each direction.
No, I think I like your idea of 10 minutes.
I think 10 minutes just
Flip
solid.
the coin.
10
Well, that's what I'm saying. It'd be
10
10 minutes.
minutes.
It'd be 5 minutes each direction of a half, or
Yeah.
just 10 solid minutes.
10 solid minutes.
10
yeah.
solid minutes.
Yep, 10
10,
solid
you
minutes.
got put 10 minutes on the clock. We're going to play regular football, and whoever's at whoever after 10 minutes is ahead, that's it. And
And if it's still tied,
If you
then you do the
don't-
ball at the 10 or something.
then I like rather than the go for two, put it at the 2-yard line thing. I would rather see it at the 10-yard line, where that, because as we've seen, the teams that have gotten to the point where they're at the 2-yard line, it is just not that hard
Yeah.
to score
Yeah.
from the 2.
Yeah, first and goal at the 10.
Well, you
maybe?
should not
Yeah.
have 8, 9 overtimes. I mean, that's
What was the game last year?
Yeah.
Where were we at? Kansas State?
Kansas State walking
and we
back.
were walking back,
Yeah.
and it was like Penn State and
Penn
somebody.
State and Illinois.
Yeah.
And it was like 7 overtimes or something
silly.
outrageous.
Because they were
'Cause it was from the 2-yard
line.
conversion.
From
Yeah.
the 2. So I like that 10 minutes and 10 and 10. 10 minutes and then 10-yard line, and we just keep going to the 10-yard line.
You can kick
team
kick
gets the
field
ball.
goals. You can kick field goals within that,
Yeah.
and you want to risk it.
Yeah.
Like I absolutely think that should be all on the table. But I think you make it pure football. You don't make it this.
it'd be interesting to see the
No,
numbers,
whatever.
but
You
I bet
get-
it's significantly lower chance of scoring from the 10 than the 2.
Oh, absolutely.
Obviously.
Way lower.
Yeah.
And do
Especially
you?
with some of these defenses.
So do you
nowadays.
give them 4 downs?
I think so.
I think so,
If you're
too.
going to let them kick a field goal,
And then you let them
absolutely.
kick a field goal? Yeah, I think so for sure. And
Yep.
I bet you almost never get past 1 overtime. Rarely. Maybe occasionally you get to 2.
Right.
And it still looks like football.
Yep.
This start at the 25-yard line stuff is like a weird in-between of what we're talking about. It's almost real football, but it's not quite.
Right.
And then all of a sudden we're going to the 2-yard line and we're going to just do penalty
Shoot it
kicks.
out,
It's
yeah.
shootout style. I think it's stupid.
Yeah.
I like that 10 minutes. I like that a lot more. Yeah. I like a running clock, even more so of a running clock. I could see if you're worried about the length of games and wear and tear on players and all that. I'm sympathetic to it. Maybe just the clock runs until the last 4 minutes of every half, and we don't have so that if you want to strategize and you want to, you got a 40-second clock, so you got to hike the ball, but the clock's going to run. It's going to run a lot.
First down doesn't
First
stop the
down
clock.
doesn't stop the clock.
NFL
Just-
does well with that.
Things just keep running. Yeah, keep moving. Yeah, that no stopping the
Well,
clock.
the
on
NFL
first
game
downs
lasts 3 hours
consistently.
Yeah.
consistently.
You know when you're going to be in. You know when you're going to be out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, here's a different question. Unless we got any other rule changes,
That
as
was
we're
good.
correcting
Good
the world.
segment.
Here is maybe this will be a short segment. We got a little bit of time left. So we obviously have the world famous Heisman Park, which I think is awesome. I can't believe other teams that have a lot of Heisman Trophy winners haven't done something similar.
I'm glad they haven't.
And I'm glad they haven't as well. We're about to have potentially. You guys tell me, where are we on this? The Selmons are going to get a statue, right?
I think
You would think, but not in Heisman Park.
No, not in Heisman Park, and they shouldn't. I would like to see that on the north end, where there's a lot of space,
North End would be great because there's not a lot of
and not a lot going on
Just
right there.
pageantry around that side.
But
of the
there's it's a lot of visibility. There's a lot of openness there. I would like to see.
There's a Veterans Memorial.
There is a Veterans Memorial.
Yes.
It's,
And there's
it's a veteran.
the
Do you know
little
what war
pool,
it's to?
little pool thing over there on the north.
It's a Veterans of World War One. That's the dedication of the stadium. So I would like to see I'd like to call it Selmon Park. Like beyond
That'd
just
be
them
great.
having a statue there, we actually name it after them. It's a hell of a story. That's a really awesome story with those guys. But who else should get a statue in Selmon Park?
That's not a Heisman winner.
It's not a Heisman winner.
I think it's a massive number of players. That's the problem.
Here, let me roll down.
They do something similar
Mine.
over in the southeast corner, over by the Switzer Center, where they've got the plaques on the
plaques.
wall.
Uh-huh.
So, Or you're just talking? You're talking statues now,
Statues.
as opposed to the plaques that
Statues.
already exist.
Exactly.
I mean, you would think
The top one's easy.
you would think individual national
Hold on.
award winners.
I want to know who your top one is.
What about national
For
award
me?
winners?
Oh man.
Well, it
Maybe-
could be not. It's arguable because those things cost money. So, you have to draw the line somewhere, and I don't know where you properly.
Yeah,
draw
that's
the
the
line.
problem.
But who do you say is
go
the
unanimous
the easy-
All-American?
I've started my list.
You got to put Peterson out there.
Okay,
For
I
sure.
got in no particular
And
order.
Bosworth.
I got
you gotta
Bosworth,
put
Roy?
the Boz, Roy Williams, Adrian Peterson, Joe Washington.
Joe Washington.
Joe Washington for sure.
All right, those are my obvious ones. Now, DeMarco,
Nope.
active coach
Nope. He
Any
doesn't
of the
get one.
all-time touchdown leader?
and yardage leader, all-purpose yard leader.
Shit, by Lucas's standards, Landry Jones have a statue out there.
Tommy Harris, Gerald McCoy.
Nope. Nope.
Man, you got some standards there. I like it. I
Yeah,
appreciate
those guys
it.
aren't legends. They were great football players.
They were great football
They're not
players.
legends.
They're not legends.
Josh Heupel.
Josh Heupel.
Nope.
Think about a coming home party. What that would be. Why? Why?
He's pretty legendary.
Why not
what
Josh
he did.
Heupel?
Wasn't-
He's
the-
this
he-
close to being in Heisman Park.
Exactly.
He led us to
finished
Jamel.
second.
He led us to a national championship. Heupel led us to a national championship. Heupel brought us back. It was part of the
That's
story
pretty
that brings us
legendary.
back.
I mean-
That's pretty legendary.
It doesn't happen often. I mean,
Not just that coming back
no,
from
but
the
just
brink of
no,
where
but
we
just
were.
your starting. I mean, the starting quarterback of a national championship team. It's pretty legendary for your school.
Josh
I mean, it's-
Heupel on
yeah.
the shoulders of someone holding the crystal ball should be a statue.
Who was the quarterback in the 1955 national championship team?
Quarterbacks weren't as important.
You
back
just
then.
said legendary national championship team. Name 55 and 56. Who the quarterback was.
Quarterbacks weren't as important back then.
But
just because you
you-
can't,
but he just said-
that doesn't make them not
but
legendary.
quarterbacks now in modern times are the, you know,
And just because he can't name them doesn't mean that guy isn't worthy of it. But yeah, quarterback is a different position today.
But
than it was
Jay
in the
can
50s.
name the legendary players in your history.
no, not in history.
More than
Well, he's not.
I don't
Asking,
claim- I
he's
don't
not
claim to
asking
know-
for the 55 guy to be on there. He's
I don't
asking
claim
for
to
Jamel
know
Holloway.
50, 60, 70 players. Honestly,
Thomas
I don't.
Lott.
I really don't.
Thomas
Thomas
Lott led
Lott.
us
Jack
to a
Mildren.
lot of championships. Jack
Jack
Mildren,
Mildren,
pretty damn
yeah.
legendary. I would err on the side of putting a lot of statues up.
I would do the opposite. I would err on the side of
Well, I'm saying a lot. I'm saying like 20 out of the
That
thousands
is
of
a
guys who have
lot.
played for us.
But look how storied your program
Every
is.
one of those guys
Look how
is a
storied
hell
your
of a story.
program is.
And
Your
everyone that
program
I'm
is.
mentioning almost is a guy who finished really high in the Heisman and very well could have won it or should have won it, arguably. Now you're going down to a lot of defensive players who aren't eligible for that, but they were tremendous players. I think that it's another way to honor players. It's another way to honor your legends. And not every legend is just this guy who happens to win the Heisman.
You know what should be a Heisman, or what should be a statue is you should have a version of the Superman as a statue. Pivotal moment. in
That should be
history.
Roy's.
Yeah.
Roy should be that. Well, this statue they should unveil for Baker should be him planting the flag.
Oh, without a doubt.
I mean, I am.
This
hard-
stadium will go insane if that's.
Is
what the
anybody
statue is.
surprised that we haven't seen the statue yet leaked?
What will
Because remember the Bob Stoops
Yeah,
statue was
Stoops
like
got leaked
on a
weird.
trailer in DFW,
That's
like
true.
on
What will
I-35.
Baker's
Somebody took a
statue be?
picture.
I
of it.
will lose.
The Barry Sanders Trophy was in Norman.
I will re-lose
as
my
somebody
virginity.
somebody
Oh,
saw it at
if
a
he's-
Walmart
if
parking
he's planting
lot.
the flag. That would be. I mean,
It's
no,
not
I'm
gonna
serious. I think he should. It should
Josie,
be that.
Josie doesn't have the balls to do
They
that.
don't have the balls to do it, but they should do it.
It better
And if
not.
I'm an Ohio State fan, I should say that's an honor.
It's an honor
that
to
you're
be
doing that.
It better not be a generic quarterback pose.
Right. Now, it could be. Here's what it probably will be. I'm going to just say, here's my guess. It's going to be the Heisman pose when he's going against
OSU.
Oklahoma State,
Yeah.
and he pushes the guy out of the way.
That's dumb.
I think so, too. I think it should be the flag
soft.
plant, but
It's
that's what
soft.
it's going to be.
It's definitely not going to be the flag plant. I'm surprised that it hasn't surfaced.
That is surprising.
Now my on.
What would
Absolutely-
Kyler's be? The
Absolutely.
No,
hop, the hop over the
Epic.
goal
The
line.
hop or just Kyler's like
The
he
slide.
has this stance.
Yeah.
or
It'd
he
be the
just has
slide.
He was so perfect on the slide.
He just has this stance when he runs, though, like this kind of like crooked
Yeah.
stance with his arms up. Like he was so fucking fancy.
He was
He
awesome.
was so fancy.
He was
I
awesome.
loved it.
What if instead of what you were talking about, we had a defensive statue section? So
Just
What if they're
defense.
smaller statues?
so you've got the Selmon brothers and you've got
What if they're all the
Bosworth.
size of the high school?
You maybe do Roy Williams, but you could base it off of like Butkus winners.
Right.
So then Lehman's got
Kalmus.
one.
And Kalmus.
That's what I mean.
has one.
National award
Unanimous
winners.
national award winners or unanimous All-Americans, because that's pretty hard to do. The unanimous All-Americans,
Well, I'm game for any of
because
that.
you would get
Consensus
Thorpe
the
Award winner.
consensus
You'd have
All-Americans.
Derek Strait won a Thorpe
I think
Award.
everybody I've mentioned is probably in this group.
is unanimous All-Americans.
But I'm including offensive players because I don't want them to get short shrift just because they happen to not win the Heisman.
they had a chance to win a Heisman.
They had a chance. Hardly. They had biases against them.
Peterson finished second. Heupel finished second. White finished third.
I'd like to
and
see
first.
it. I think it'd be pretty awesome. I think it would add to the pageantry of the entire place, and it'd be another thing that if we got out in front of, it would. If anyone else tried to duplicate that, there are schools that obviously could claim a lot of players like this, they would be looking.
Yeah,
like
Bama would have to
copycats.
have like a 160 square acre property
No,
to be able,
I don't-
to be able
I-
to do all their unanimous All-Americans.
I bet we have more consensus All-Americans than they do. I think we have the most of anybody.
I want interactive holograms.
NFTs.
I think you also run the risk of running out of tailgating space around the stadium.
They
if
don't
you're
allow
That's a
that
whole
anyway.
different problem anyway.
No,
They
they
don't
have
allow it.
tailgating
That's a
over
whole-
on the
No, not in the stadium
north side?
grounds.
No
not on
way.
the north side.
on
On
the
the north
on
side.
the northeast corner over there.
Uh-uh.
On the northeast,
Yes.
like north of Heisman.
Yeah, north of Heisman. That's
Yeah.
all tailgating over there.
Yeah, but he's talking about
People
I'm talking
set
about,
tents
I'm
and all
talking
that
about
stuff.
north of the stadium.
He's talking about the lawn,
Like where the pool,
directly
like you
north.
said, where the
Yeah.
where the pool is, and
Yeah,
the,
like-
Yeah, but I'm talking about the northeast side.
No.
over there.
I'm talking about the
You're talking about
two
filling.
pieces
So
of
in between the
ground
stadium and the
and
field house,
Yes.
you're talking about filling all that up.
Or some of it, yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Well, with 20 that you're talking about,
there's a lot of space there.
You
They
but,
park food trucks over
But
there.
if you do that, that's
Not on the
that
grounds,
becomes
no,
a
no.
that becomes like a
Like a
museum,
must-see-
like
a must-see.
monument
Exactly, a
type thing.
must-see.
That's like
but
you, like,
but
hey,
that's
like,
the
let's
specialty
go.
of Heisman Park, and then you've added the coaches section over there on the south side.
Yeah, you can't even access that. It's like fenced off.
No, you
There's
can
gates.
walk over there.
It's pretty hard to access. You can't access it. I don't think you can access it outside of game days.
Well, and without the tailgating on Lindsay now,
It's kind of awkward. I wish they
it's-
made it more
should
accessible.
not. I mean, your
It's
traffic there
absurd.
is
You
your
can't
traffic
tailgate
there
on
is not
Lindsay.
nearly as high.
It is
Like,
bad.
I'm not going to go there on a Wednesday to go look at that stuff. Like
I'd walk through there all the time. It'd be awesome.
I would.
Yeah.
I mean, no. I mean,
No,
if
no,
it's
I
like
agree.
that.
Yeah,
oh,
exactly.
yeah, like on a game day, yeah, absolutely. It'd be
But
amazing.
I think it would be. I don't know. I think it'd be a pretty cool thing. I don't think it would diminish Heisman Park at all, and I think it would be another thing that we would have that's unique to us, that other schools would be challenged to copy.
and strive for
Because there's only a few schools who actually
Can
could
put
be blue bloods that
statues.
could put that up there and put
Yeah.
statues. They could put statues over the decades.
Yep.
That's not just like you go to some schools and you're like, oh yeah, I remember him. He was real good 5 years ago. Are you kidding? Or is anyone going to remember him in 10 years, guys?
Yeah.
But our guys, they're going to remember.
I think it
forever.
has to be a unanimous All-American situation or a
National
major
award winner.
national award winner. So you've got Butkus,
Butkus,
you got
Biletnikoff.
Thorpe,
I'm
you've
okay with
got
that.
Biletnikoff,
I'm okay with
you've
that.
got what's the Lyman Trophy, the Outland Trophy.
Let's do it. We're going to raise funding. 2 homers and a realist are going to put in the first dollar. We'll match every dollar that comes in,
up to 400.
up to 400 pesos. No, that I don't know. I think that'd be pretty.
I've
can
got
make it- you can
I've
make
got
it- you have enough space.
0.000165 of a Bitcoin.
You've got enough space around there where you should do something. It shouldn't just be grass.
I think it'd be cool. And if
Maybe
you're-
they have to use that for stadium expansion in the future, though.
They
well,
do
then
not
you move,
need to.
then you move the. Yeah, I don't
Don't
think they need to
expand the
move it.
stadium.
But I think you
That's
move.
another
Then you move the
podcast.
statues.
Then you just go up. right?
They had to completely
You don't
rebuild.
go out. You go up.
They
No.
completely rebuilt the Switzer Center, so it can be done.
You reduce seating
Yeah.
capacity and make it a luxury experience.
I like that.
That's what you do.
I like that a lot.
No, they just need to connect that plan where you could do an
Put
upper.
the pavilion up there
You could put the pavilion from the west
on the north.
side around
Yeah.
the north to the.
Well,
to
they
the
need
east
to
side.
totally redo the west upper deck before they do
Please.
any of
And
that
we don't
stuff.
care about those people.
They're
The
the
people in the
best
north
people.
end zone is what really matters.
I don't think they're real fans.
We
Actually,
need pavilion to easily access restrooms and concessions.
Yeah,
I might buy a concession if I could just walk up one
Yeah,
step.
no kidding.
Since I'm on the
Get
top,
one.
I could just walk up one step to the pavilion.
Oh, trust me.
You
I might
wouldn't
actually
sneak
buy
in-
some nachos.
You wouldn't
Yeah.
sneak in your bottled waters.
Your seats also become a lot more expensive at that point.
Grandfathered in.
I think
fair
you
enough.
might be willing to do it if they did it right.
For sure.
Well, we've always argued if they got the price point right, we could buy a box. They just don't do the price point right for us.
We're getting there.
Maybe.
What do you think about the? And I actually talked to Joe about this at one point. You can only will your tickets once.
I don't like that.
I don't like that at all. I
Is
think
that true?
yes.
I don't like that. Yeah.
So like, my dad has season tickets that I sit in. We have 4. He needs to will those to my son, or if hopefully he lives long enough that my son has a son that he can will them
Skip
two generations. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
Or
that's
else,
ridiculous.
Or else
Honestly,
you lose those. Your family
Especially
loses
because
those seats.
you want to keep generational families
You would
going.
think.
I mean,
So
Right.
just how I've experienced the OU
Greediness.
ticket office, man, it would shock me if you couldn't figure something out with them.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I'm not saying that they don't have rules and stuff. I know they do, but
They
man,
work
they're
around.
super accommodating to.
Well, they're
please-
going to get more and more accommodating.
Please give me
as
your
it's
money.
gotten to be. This is
harder
facing
to sell
everywhere,
tickets
harder to sell
because
tickets.
everything's on TV.
And
You
and
can sit at
that'll
home,
be a,
watch it
a
in
trend
4K.
they'll
Yeah.
continue to face.
You can
You
watch it
call
in
them and
4K.
you tell them
Probably
you're
not
dropping
an
your
issue.
tickets. Yeah.
It's probably not an issue, but that'll be interesting.
You should be able to
see how
keep
that
those
goes.
specific seats for generations if you have the availability to do that.
Yeah, well, if they want to increase the price, they increase the price, but you have right of first refusal.
Yeah.
Basically, I think that's a fan-friendly thing. That's a nod to tradition. Were you guys aware? I don't know. We need to research this. Up to a few years ago, there were still some people that owned lifetime tickets. They sold lifetime tickets to people back in like the 50s. And there were still like 4 people that had lifetime tickets to OU football for some
They're
crazy
checking the obits
small
every day.
price.
They're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
John Williams passed away. We
It's
can
like
get
the
rid of that
guys,
ticket."
like American Airlines once sold. I know of a guy who bought for $100,000 a lifetime
flights,
ticket.
yeah.
He could fly forever.
Well, they
on
lost
American
their butt on
Airlines. Yeah. And
Fly wherever you wanted.
for lifetime ticket,
Lifetime.
$100,000. He just has to go book it.
No blackout dates.
Yeah, there's just a few people that still had those. They might have. Let's see. Did American Airlines declare bankruptcy? They got really close. I don't think they did. Sometimes they discharge those things in bankruptcy, and that removes it. But the university can't declare bankruptcy. It'd take the state to do it. That's not gonna
all right.
happen.
So, what about Saturday? What are we looking for? What are we expecting?
Good
Is
wrap up. Let's
anyone's-
do that.
Is anyone's opinion going to change?
Ooh, that's a good question. That I need to be open-minded because Lucas is going to change his mind about Dylan Gabriel, so I need to be able to change
I hope
my
so.
mind about something.
I don't think my
I don't think
opinion
my
will
opinion's
change
gonna
regardless.
change, regardless.
I need to set myself up for a
Failure.
less than stellar performance by the defense, I think. I'm not saying they're going to perform less than stellar. I'm just saying I expect them to perform extremely well based on everything we've seen.
If it's a 35-mile-an-hour wind, I expect to see less from the offense than we would hope.
Yeah, and that too, yeah. Or
Because they won't
maybe
be
we're
able to throw the
expecting
ball
just
as
to
well.
see some not great weather and some sloppy scrimmage play.
So I'm expecting to not see guys look like they don't know what the hell they're doing.
That's what I really hope.
I'm hoping to see guys that are crisply always in position, and I guess I'll be a little disappointed if I see some guys just completely bust.
I
But
think
you've got a completely
defensively
new
you're gonna see
staff.
that.
You got a completely new staff that's only been
Yeah.
really working on the field. Those guys for 30 days or whatever it's been.
Same thing. I think it's a
I think
whole.
you're gonna
So
see
that's what might
busted
happen to
coverage
me.
and stuff.
So if we don't see any busted coverage, you're going to be surprised. If I do see busted coverage, I'm going to be surprised.
Yeah, if we don't see busted covers, Lucas is going to say why our wide receivers not getting behind the defense.
Yep.
Exactly.
So these guys suck.
So
Now,
how many?
didn't Kyler have a horrible spring game?
Yes, it was
That
pathetic.
spring game was bad.
It was very bad.
How'd that work out?
That's also when Trey
Hold on, let
Sermon
me
got
see.
hurt really badly.
He had one of the best college football seasons ever. Yeah.
Well, Rattler got shown up by Mordecai, and we know how
Yeah.
that worked out.
That was
Mordecai
last
was way
year.
better than Rattler.
Was that last year?
No, that's year before. Last
before
year he
last?
got showed up a little bit by Caleb Williams.
A little
That's
bit.
right.
But Mordecai dominated Rattler in that 2020 scrimmage
Yeah, it was
spring
not even
game.
funny.
So
And apparently we made the wrong choice in that one.
are Maybe. We'll see. I'm expecting big things out of him at SC,
Yeah.
the real SC, South Carolina.
But Mordecai had a pretty good season. Mordecai had a better season
Mordecai had a great
than
season,
Rattler
too.
did last year.
Maybe spring games, though, lend themselves to flashy players like Caleb Williams, who are raw guys, I don't know, who come in and bring a lot of energy, and you just see some things that wow, that's awesome. And like, all right, but X's and O's, did you really...
Kyler was a flashy
see
player,
that?
and
I don't know if he was flashy.
If we see ones versus twos, I expect to see ones versus twos.
One's
He's
domination.
dominant.
If it's
Dominance
1v1,
Who knows?
give or take,
I don't think
fair.
you'll see 1v1.
That's fair.
I don't think. I don't think.
we
that'll
still don't know what
happen.
the format's going to be. This
right?
I
Does
know,
the defense score points somehow?
So when do we find that out?
Seems like
Friday,
they
probably?
always came up with a rule and then changed it like,
during the game.
During the game.
Yeah.
Under Riley. It was always pathetic.
At least we're not out there doing.
I hope
foot
it's more
races
organized.
At halftime.
Here is something I'm pessimistic on. I think it will be a goofy cluster of fan, where do we go, what's going on. I expect it to be well orchestrated from the entire PA system and the Sooner Vision and everything. I think that'll all go off real crisply. But as far as the fan experience, I think it's going to be disappointing because I think it's going to be thousands of people trying to sit on the 50-yard line.
Well, those people don't know football.
Well,
Everybody knows the end zone's the way to be.
You're going to see. How many people do you guys think there'll be?
60.
That's what I said
I'll
earlier.
say under.
Really?
Now, and I'm guessing what their official attendance will be. They'll have an official attendance because they'll have a number of tickets.
66.
However, they may be selling tickets to people they know aren't going to come.
Yeah.
And so if we look up and both upper decks are completely closed,
I
and
don't
we've
know
got
that they're
a lot
opening
of-
the upper decks.
I don't
right?
think they're going to.
Yeah.
And if we look at the end zones and say they're pretty sparse, we know people are not going to crowd into whatever you can get on a row, 30 people. It's not going to be 30 people per row
No.
at a general admission game. So even though it might look really crowded, I'll be real surprised if it's beyond 50,000
We should look.
people.
We took some pictures last year. I'd like to see what the stadium looked like last year.
Yeah.
Were they still working on the bleachers on the north end last year when we went?
No, that was all
Was
done.
that 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll try to take a lot of pictures. I'll get the satellites to go over for some aerial shots, and we'll do some.
Yeah. Get your
some
drone.
We have to
analysis.
move
Max
it from
get his
Ukraine
drone.
Yeah,
over.
and Max get his drone out, and
Yep.
I mean, I don't think we'll be Nebraska. We'll definitely do better than.
There's a little bit more.
A&M
to
and
do. There's a
Texas.
little
You're
bit
calling
more
them we're not
do
going to beat
than
Nebraska the third
Does
game of the season?
Nebraska-
No.
sell-
Nebraska's fans.
did they do assigned seats?
I don't know.
I just don't know how you can pull that off without assigned seats, because everyone will try to sit in a seat they don't usually get to sit
And
in.
it'll be a
Not me.
cluster.
Not you, not us. We're gonna.
We're smart. We know
Are we,
better.
or are we gonna?
I sit in the
slum
best
it?
seats of the house.
We're gonna slum it. We're gonna go to the end zone. Now we're gonna sit on your side.
Yeah, let's sit in the north
Section
end.
16,
Yeah. No, I say we.
row
We've always
72.
sat in the south.
I
seats
say
Seats
7
we
and 8.
100%.
Come hang out.
All right, I say that we could be sitting in the cushy seats of the south end zone, but probably other people will too.
Yeah.
All right, let's go sit in Lucas's seats,
All right.
and let's.
We're
see
not
what
going to
it's
get there
like.
early enough to sit in good seats. I mean,
Well, yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
We're
right.
going to get there about 2:15.
No.
I don't think that'll be early
We
enough.
could show up
I
at
don't know.
2:45 and
I don't know.
Lucas's seats will still be open.
Yeah, and you could sit.
Yeah,
when do the
because
gates
they're
open?
my seats.
When do the gates open?
People know better.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. They
I'll
know
probably
better.
open at
one.
They know
Beat
better
down.
than
the
to sit in
seats,
those
the
crappy
seats probably
seats.
open at 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure the gates open at 1. Good
2 hours.
Watch warm ups and stuff.
Well, we can get over there earlier if you guys
No,
want
I don't want to be that guy.
to. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
I
gonna
agree.
be nasty out there.
I don't know. Hopefully not.
Which way is the wind going to be blowing? Out of the south?
You know, it's been moving and changing so much. I
Moving
don't
and shaking
know.
and shaking and moving.
Because you really want to be out of the wind. So if it's
Are you
blowing,
saying we don't sit in your seats?
I mean, I'm fine with my seats year round.
we're at 45. We're at a 40% chance of rain on Saturday.
What?
Ooh.
No, but that's the.
That's Saturday night.
You got to
mainly.
look, hour by hour.
I'm getting there.
Come
boys. I'm
on,
getting
come
there.
on.
It's going to
Gary
rain all day
England.
Sunday, looks like. So I think it's Saturday nights when it's coming in.
So Saturday morning's free.
I think so.
Saturday morning,
get around
70% chance of rain. I don't know
No, it's
what
not.
you're-
Really?
70
70
for Saturday?
for Saturday. Overcast
Then it's
for most
changed.
of the day.
I'm not bringing the wife.
It's going to be 74 to 78 during the game. I'm going to get the hour by hour pulled up here.
She's going to feel like 95.
So I'm gonna bring a
with
rain
humidity.
slicker.
Wind at game time, southern wind all day. Southern wind blowing up, like the wind, regular wind, 27 miles per hour. Wind gust up to 40 out of the south. Chances of rain. Precipitation probability. It's only like a 2% chance of rain hour by hour around game time, but it increases starting at 6 p.m. to get to be about 25% hour by hour into the evening. So it looks like all that's evening situation.
So it is going to rain Saturday morning?
I don't see Saturday morning
Oh,
as a rain.
you said
I thought you
Saturday.
said Saturday morning.
Yeah, you
It's
said
like
Saturday morning,
70% chance of
70%.
rain.
No, Saturday 70% chance of rain.
Oh, but that's all in the evening.
Yeah, it's all in the evening.
Okay.
No, it really doesn't
Yeah.
come in. It looks like until maybe 5 o'clock, and then it starts to build, and it could change.
So we may have to
obviously.
podcast indoors.
Yeah, that's true. We might be
That would
podcasting
suck.
indoors. It would not be as great, but we'll manage. We've done quite a few indoor podcasts.
We got a good spot for it.
Mm-hmm. Anything else to cover?
No, it's fun just kind of hanging out.
I'm ready.
Any one player you're excited to see or
Eric
watch?
Gray.
Or
I want to see Eric Gray do Eric Gray.
I've seen Eric Gray before.
But he's big now.
I want to see him in open space and see
Fast.
if he actually can make a move or two outside of what he did last year.
I want to see Danny Stutzman destroying fools.
I don't want to see him destroying people. I'd like to see him make some tackles. But
I want to see the tandem of Bowman and Lawrence at safety.
that note you sent today got me excited. So I'm hoping that's as pure as what the note said.
Yeah, that does sound exciting.
Ethan
We need
Downs
some freaking
will be fun to
safeties.
watch too.
Ethan Downs looks beefed
I
up.
want to
looks
see how much
so
pressure
big.
he can make. He can
Yeah,
Looks
get.
like
I
Dan
think that-
Cody.
I think the D line in general will be pretty interesting to see.
They got Jalen on the inside.
Offensive line will be a little interesting. Oh, really?
They got Jalen like at nose.
Huh. Okay.
It's freaking awesome.
Well,
Todd Bates put out a video of him today, and he looked like a freak.
What'll be even more awesome is if we
Shout
got
out
him on the
Jalen
pod.
Redmond. Awesome baby shower. I did my best
Kenai
to
Walker.
stay quiet.
He's like a 6'2", 200-pound corner. Sounds like he's moved right up the depth chart. Redshirt freshman from
Was he from
Louisville.
Louisville? Yeah.
Mhm.
Louisville.
We got that
Louisville.
Louisville.
We've got the
Louisville?
We've got the North Carolina guy too, right?
Yeah, Morrison. I'm guessing he's like
Corner.
a nickelback.
Wonder if Kanak will get in there.
Yeah,
Yeah, they'll get in
some
there.
run. He'll probably be with the twos, which would be great. Give him some reps.
I still think if you had to start the team today, you'd have Ethan Downs, Redmond, Johnson, and Grimes, or the guy from Hawaii. I don't want to say his name wrong. Luau or something. And I still think you're going to have Uwebu and White starting at linebacker. I think Denny Stutzman will play a ton.
Mhm.
I think you have those two. Sounds like Woody Washington and the new kid from Louisville.
Louisville. It's taking
Louisville.
DJ Graham's spot.
Yeah, I think so.
Mm.
And you got Bowman,
And
Key
Key
Lawrence, and then probably that Morrison kid at safety. Or
Is
nickel.
Jaden Davis going to transfer? Jaden Davis is going to see the field.
I think DJ Graham might transfer.
His mom's not happy on Twitter.
Yeah.
oh really?
Really?
And even in Venables even made
A comment
a joke about it.
about moms.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
No
like, oh, I don't want to make
way.
some moms mad. Up
Yep.
here.
Ooh.
Yeah.
The press conference.
Yeah.
Savage.
Yeah.
Savage.
He's setting the
Get
tone.
Get the fuck out.
Set
Yeah.
the tone.
Explicit podcast.
We started with explicit.
Yeah.
So, this is way too early, but you say if we started today, but we will get true freshmen in. Any true freshmen you think will make an immediate impact and play?
Barnes, right?
Yeah, running
He
back.
slowed down a little bit in the last week.
Gibson maybe wide receiver, just because
Gibson
you're
has to.
6'5" and some skills you can't coach or teach. I mean,
Some natural abilities.
just high point the ball and
I think Kanak's going to get some run this year. I really do. I mean, everything the kids, I've at least read and seen on the very, very, very short clips of tape, the dude's got it.
Clips of
So-
tape.
Clips of tape.
other than that, I really don't know. I don't know many true freshmen are gonna be impact players per se.
Mhm.
I think they'll all get a lot of run, but
Mhm.
at some point. if we take care of business, unlike last year,
Yeah.
where we didn't get players on the field for games like Tulane and Kansas and
I mean,
just
is
different.
is the hope that you don't
West
get true
Virginia,
freshmen in there already?
Nebraska,
Not in those games.
Well,
Well, yeah,
all
no.
those single possession games that
I think just the hope, just
we played
get the best player in there.
you're so pessimistic.
against the Nebraska team that some on this pod said would go like 9.
Oh, I saw
9-3.
Casey Thompson at Charleston's the other day.
Where does he go? Nebraska.
He's the
Mhm.
Nebraska starting quarterback. He was with his girlfriend, and
It's going to be crazy this
Yeah,
year in the
super
Big
family.
12 with all the new quarterbacks. You got Martinez is at Kansas State. Texas.
hilarious.
Texas will have Ewers probably.
Martinez is a great fit at
TC
Casey.
It won't be years off the start.
TCU is going
You
to
don't
have a
think so?
brand new quarterback.
Dude,
Probably.
you want to put money on that one?
I
Put $20 on that.
West,
That he'll start the
West
first game.
Virginia's got
You're paying the kid a
JT
$1 million+.
Daniels.
Those boosters are going to make
Texas
that guy
isn't.
start for sure.
Coaches aren't paying that kid.
how many?
Okay,
So
who's
out
paying
of
the coaches?
out of 10 schools in the quote unquote Big 12, you're going to have new quarterbacks in all of them except for
Oak
Texas Tech.
State.
Oklahoma State.
I have
Texas
no idea
Tech.
about Texas Tech.
Texas Tech has a new quarterback every game.
What
so.
about Baylor?
Baylor
I think
has
that-
Bohannon.
I think that kid's back. Yeah.
So
So maybe
Iowa
two?
State's new, Kansas State's new, West
Kansas.
Virginia's new, Kansas. Who
Kansas
knows?
got that guy that beat Texas.
We can't name a quarterback at Kansas.
West Virginia got JT Daniels.
JT Daniels.
Of the
yep.
6 football teams in the Big 12.
West Virginia got JT Daniels?
Uh-huh.
Yep.
No way.
Yeah.
He went from USC to Georgia to West Virginia.
Nice.
Five-star kid. Ended up at West Virginia.
TCU got a transfer too, didn't they?
Chandler Morris.
Yeah.
I think they got somebody else.
No, I think they did too.
Just tons. I mean, we have a transfer quarterback. Texas will have a transfer quarterback.
Is-
It's crazy. It'll probably be 7 out of 10 schools will have new quarterbacks.
Is Gary Patterson still...
No, he's on Texas
at
staff.
Texas.
No, is he still on the staff?
Yeah.
Yep.
Some advisor role.
Yep. I had more respect for him than I do now.
I honestly can't believe he's coaching at Texas.
I can't either.
Well,
I've always had a lot of respect for Gary Patterson, but now
He
I
doesn't
have
need
less.
money. I mean, what's he doing? What's he doing?
I think... put your bias aside.
Nope.
He's at a tremendous program,
Shitty 5
being
and 7
a part of
Is it
that.
a tremendous program?
Yeah, where's
Texas?
this? Yeah.
Yes.
From a monetary perspective?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
From a lot of
He doesn't need any
perspectives.
money.
I don't think that's the point, though.
He's got his music career, guys.
Guys don't need money, but they're going to take the money. He probably wants to... I don't know what he wants to do. You think
it's
he's
gotta-
done
it's
coaching?
Gotta, no, it's got to be a stepping stone.
I think
to
it's a
another head
stepping
coaching
stone
job.
to another job.
I don't
Yeah.
think he needs a stepping stone. He wouldn't have needed
I
it.
don't know. He aged out
He-
very quickly at TCU.
He's done pretty poorly in the last few
and
years.
I think he needs probably a new perspective on how
No
things
one's
are
going to
done.
give him credit for being a second-tier coach
I
at
mean,
Texas.
they were in Big
So
12 title
no-
game in the last 5 years, were they not?
We played him.
5 years ago.
5 years ago. And it wasn't even close.
And they tied for Big 12 title in like 14.
Yeah, it's
And
been
then
a while.
Then they went to a
Been a
Big
while.
12
He
title in
slipped.
17 or yeah, the
Well, I
year
don't
they
know.
played
For
Georgia
some reason, they
17.
fired him.
in 17.
And I think getting fired, he probably
think
needs
they have a new
something
AD.
to reestablish himself and keep his connection. And think about the network. This is a network of guys, so that means a lot to them. It may not mean anything to us, but it probably means a lot to them.
Yep.
And so he's in this network, and he goes and makes a connection that gets him a connection to get to a next job.
Matt Wells from Texas Tech getting on staff at OU, that's different than Gary Patterson, who hates Texas,
You
hates the
don't know he
Longhorns.
How do you know he hates the Longhorns?
No,
Everyone
there's
hates
actually a
the
lot
Longhorns.
there, like between like him and Crystal Conte.
I mean, to go there and
But
be
He's there.
and to
he's
be
there.
a secondary
there.
coach, not coaching the secondary, just a.
I mean, he's there.
It's shocking.
I think so too.
I think it was shocking, but he's there.
maybe he just wants to be in the game still, and maybe Texas was the best place to do that.
I think he could have done that a lot of play and actually be in the game. He's not even in the game. He's just coaching
Yeah,
on
but-
practice.
Well, maybe
Like
he
a
doesn't
lot
want
of
to be
these guys
in the
do.
game. Maybe he just wants to be a part of it.
And look at all the guys under Saban, and they go and do those weird jobs.
Yeah, but that's a top-notch program.
Texas is. I mean, Texas
Texas
is
not
Texas is
a
still a
top-notch program.
top-notch
We
program.
can still say as much as we want to say it's not a top notch because they went whatever.
It is a hell of
In
a
the last
job.
decade, they
Texas
finished.
is not a top-notch program.
In the
It
last
is
decade,
the-
they finished 6th in the Big 12.
It's the second best job.
They have the sixth
in the Big Ten.
the sixth most wins
It
in
is-
the Big 12 in the last decade.
It's a top 5 job in the
it is-
nation.
It is.
It's not.
Yeah, that's a whole topic that we're going to cover. But
It is.
it's. I think the head coaching job at Texas is a top 5 job.
It might be
No
a top
doubt about
20
it.
job in the country.
Oh,
But
it's
it is
a
not a
top
top
5
It's-
job.
If it's not, it's easy a top 10, if not a top 5.
Absolutely, it is.
And
You can't be that
it's
poor
15
for a
to 20.
decade
The
as
reason-
being a top 5 job.
because you're missing on every single hire you make. It's a head coaching problem. It's
But
not
you
the fact
shouldn't
that it's not a
even
good job.
you shouldn't even have misses if it's so good. I mean, you could
If it's
almost
that
put
good of a
anybody in there.
program, yeah.
I'm not saying the decisions behind the hires are good decisions. I'm saying to get hired at that job, Tom Herman was in a fat seat and had it made for him.
We'd all agree that this conference in the last decade hasn't been great, aside from OU.
And there's no excuse. That
And they
Texas
have the
hasn't been
6th
good.
most wins out of 10 schools
with all the resources.
in the 4th best Power 5 conference.
That's the anomaly.
exactly.
The fact that they have only won that many games. It's still it's the number 2 job in this conference.
Texas has had 2
It is
great
the
head
number 2
coaches
program in
the
this
history of the
conference.
school.
It's
One
the-
of them is Dale Royal, and the other is Mac Brown.
It is clearly the number 2 team and program in this conference. And I say clearly 2, meaning there's gap between 2 and 3, not gap between 1 and 2. That's a train.
I
So-
think it's
It's red-
only
it's
that
red
high
ones, dude.
because
That's the
because
Longhorn
people
train comes
aren't looking at it how they should be looking at it.
Objectively.
This is
They're
another
only
pod-
looking
this
at
is
the
another
money.
podcast.
Oh, we're definitely coming back
Yeah,
on
let's
this.
come back to
Another
this.
This is good.
It's good stuff. I'm pumped.
This is a
Saturday's
great
gonna be
midweek
fun.
pod to talk
It's
about
gonna
how
be a lot
shitty of a
fun.
job Texas is.
All right.
Pack
Well,
the Palace.
Pack
Back
the
to
Palace.
Boomer Sooner.
See you guys there.
Boomer
Sooner.
Sooner.